This is the Bobcat 328D mini excavator. I believe it's got a 16-inch bucket on it, or 18, I'll have to measure it. This is our John Deere 312 GR skid steer, and I just finished painting the bottom of it. I haven't painted the mast yet. These two machines are fixed to have something in common, and I'm wondering, did I just commit the ultimate brand loyalty sin? Let's find out. Now the bucket's off the John Deere, which we're going to paint over all this rust, grind it off and paint it. So the bucket's off the John Deere, and we're getting ready to take the bucket off the mini excavator. Now this thing, I don't know how many different types of attachments there are for these things. This has got the quick exchange, they call it. It's manual, whatever you call it. But it had this piece in here that you put a pry bar in, and you pry down on that pry bar, and it will disconnect this blade out here. Well, that's long since been broken, decades ago probably, or however how old this machine is. That's been broken. They also have what's just called a pin on, and you put the quick connect on, slide the bar out here in this front, and then you put a pin through it. Well, this quick exchange is not set up for that. It's got the hole in the bucket, but no hole. Well, I wish they would let all the traffic out today. That's just the way it is. Might as well keep right on filming, talk right through it. And this bucket's made for the pin-on type quick exchange, and of course there's no hole in this, so I don't know what one would do to remedy that. And the other option is the hydraulic, which this doesn't have. It's the same setup, but it's got a hydraulic cylinder in there that it pulls this plug in and out here. But this one doesn't have it. It's the bolt-on. You just take these two bolts out, and I guess this plate comes off, and then the whole thing slides off the bucket. I've never had this off. I put a little bit of WD-40 on it. Try to get it loosened up. We'll see what happens. Let's get into it. Got one of the bolts out already. Had to get a different wrench because that quick connect thing is in the way of the bolt. That wasn't terrible. Supposing this plug comes out. Kind of boogered in there. A little pry bar. I think the washer is what's holding it. That's just nasty. That's out. That is a Bobcat bucket. It says on the tag here. Probably the one that came with the machine, but I don't know what they've done to destroy all this quick attach stuff in here, but I guess these bolts will work just fine. I hope. Let's see if we can, should be able to tilt this forward and it'll swing down on these pins. There's some pins there, then it should come off. That's awesome when a plan comes together. I didn't think, I figured it'd been so long it probably wouldn't ever fall off there, but hey, I can live with that. Well, by now you're probably wondering what all this is about. And one thing is, when we bought this machine, it only came with a muck bucket, which is, I guess it's a 1 yard bucket. It's material handling. It is a, I don't know what it was, John Deere, Bobcat, whatever it was. It's made like a Bobcat. The way it's got the plates on the side, it looks almost exactly like a Bobcat bucket. There's no information on it. The tag's gone, but that's the way Bobcat used to tag theirs, with the 4 rivets. Nothing on the sides. It's got places where you can bolt on cutting edges, but not on the bottom. And it's kind of warped. It'd be good for material handling, but we don't need that. We're digging swimming pools out, pads for swimming pools, so we need something that's a little more robust. And this is where the controversy comes in. So this is it. Bobcat Enterprises heavy duty bucket. Now, I tried to go through John Deere and get a bucket, and the 66-inch John Deere bucket was going to be 6 months, I think he said. And they said they could get another off-brand, but somebody that I know recently bought an off-brand bucket said he started working it, and where the quick attach plate, it was a Chinesian one, where the quick attach plate bolts onto it, I think it broke off. Now, I'm not exactly sure. I haven't seen it exactly sure what happened, but they said it broke and they got their money back. And I hauled this on with these little green straps, and one wore nearly through, and the other one, there was some kind of wreck on the interstate. They had the hard brake and it broke the other strap. This whole thing shifted. It didn't move much. It didn't slide up against the rail. But this is the controversy. I'm putting a John Deere bucket, a Bobcat bucket on John Deere, which is no big deal. It'll work just fine. This is the heavy duty, low profile bucket, 68 inch. The John Deere requires a 66 inch, so this is as close as I could get to it. But that's okay. A little bit extra on the side where I can do those pulls. I can drag right around the edges of them. Let me get on the other side, if I can get the sun out of there. And that's why we're taking the bucket off the Mini X. I can dig and grade with this bucket. This is a 36 inch grading bucket from Bobcat, and it's made for the mini excavators. It does have the hook, and it also has the hole in it for the pin, and I think you can bolt the plug onto this one too. I hope so. God, I hope it fits. I know there's 4 different ways to attach them, and they should accommodate all 4 ways. But the sun's in our eyes. We added the bolt-on teeth to this. This Bobcat bucket wasn't that bad. I think it was like $1,700, and then it's $500 to have the teeth bolted onto the cutting edge. And this is exactly like my old bucket. And the only wire I ever got on that old bucket was in between the teeth. It wore the cutting edge just a little. And that's a weld-on cutting edge. It's not replaceable, but I used that thing forever, and it was pretty old when I got it, and it lasted. Another reason you need a low-profile bucket, which just doesn't look like, they said it was, but it doesn't look like the low-profile bucket. And that John Deere has a really low cab, and you got to be able to see them teeth to do any good when you're digging out a circle for a swimming pool. So I'm hoping when I get this on there I can see. I like the steps on these Bobcat buckets. I like them, and that John Deere's also got steps everywhere, so it makes it easy to get in and out of. We'll get this thing unloaded and see what happens. Kind of hard to do without a spotter. But it's all the way down there. Well, it fits. It's a relief. Looks like they're identical as far as the way they're made. The guy at Bobcat told me they were graying them out, whatever that means. They're not going to make them anymore. So all I got to do now is clean my plate up. It's not made for the pen. It'd be easier with the pen, but I guess these bolts will be okay. I need to get me some new bolts. They're pretty ready. Let me see what I can round up and we'll come back. Well, now we've got the Bobcat bucket on there. On the John. Well, I was talking away to you guys a minute ago and the battery went down. So, I got this bucket on. Got it bolted on there. which I'm sure I said that a while ago. I can't remember where I was at. But I have to practice with this. I've never used a grading bucket. I think it ought to do real good. It's got a good sharp edge on it. It's got a good flat bottom. It doesn't have the little knife edge on the back that I was hoping it would have, but they don't all have that. So, got the little John Deere loaded up. I tore the yard up. I'm going to try to use that grading bucket to smooth this grass back down. I was going to mention earlier, this has top-mounted teeth. And I think that's going to be awesome because you can still dig and grade and your teeth not dig in. I tried dragging it up down the driveway. And it's got drag bars on the bottom of it. And you can, when this is perfectly flat, you can click float on this John Deere and it hits at the right spot. It drags and floats out perfect. So I think they're going to be a pretty good combination. John Deere machine and a Bobcat bucket. It just sticks outside the tires a tiny little bit, but if you look in the back, I've got one tire that sticks out further than the other one. I don't know what's up with that. The only one's a different rim. There's one of them is a different depth, but it's got a really good heavy blade on it. Good 6-inch blade. It's not reversible, but it doesn't matter. Got her tied down, got everything on. We've painted part of it, but I still got to sand these masts off. I'm not taking the stickers off this side yet because John Deere sticker looks crooked. I haven't taken the stickers off this side yet because I'm going to do one side at a time. That way I can measure where my stickers go, which I'm sure I mentioned that before. I'm going to try to get this grading bucket started up and play around with it a little bit. Need to practice. dirt perfect or let's dig 18 for sure. I've never graded with a mini excavator before. All I've ever used is a backhoe attachment on my skid steer. But everything takes practice. And I'm still using this in that old backhoe pattern, and I'm wondering if I would have more control if I changed it to that, what they call it, ISO. I've got it in standard control pattern right now, but I think I might try it in ISO for a couple of days, because that's what seems like everybody else runs. I sure ain't having no luck with it in the standard pattern, because I'm used to running that little backhoe, and it was the old backhoe pattern, that one that went on my skid steer, that backhoe attachment. That thing was wide open or nothing. It didn't have no finesse, so I'm going to have to get used to using this thing with finesse, I guess. And that's what makes people good at it. It takes practice, I guess. We'll see what happens. There goes another loud motorcycle, of course. Well, it's just a video on us trying this grading bucket out. I definitely know how to use that one, so that's what I'll do the pulls with till I get better at this one. This one I think would be handier to get in there and scrape them swimming pools out, because you can do hillsides and flatten it out, but there's no way I'm going to be able to get a grade stick to look good if I can't even get this thing to flatten out, so it's going to take practice. I better stick to the skid steer. I can get it pretty slick with it and just have to do a little bit of raking. This thing here, I'd probably have to rake the whole thing out. I'll get better at it. And better you are, the more money you make, quicker you are. At least I got the lumps out of the yard, so I don't mow over them anyway. But we'll see what happens. Tomorrow's another day. Thank you guys for watching. I'd like for everybody to subscribe. And what do you think about cheating and using off-brand or other brand buckets on other machines? I'm not brand loyal. I've always had Bobcat stuff. This little John Deere I like. This thing is small. It has these little turf tires on it, which they still tear the yard up pretty good. And it's got a small bucket, and it lifts a lot. I ought to be able to do any of these pull things with this, since that's all I'm doing right now is pull pads, maybe a building pad or two. We were scheduled to do some demo work. We're probably not going to do that. This thing won't lift high enough. Their dump truck is 9.5 foot. I think the lift to be able to dump on this is right under, just under 8 feet. So no way I can do demo work and dump this into a dump truck. That ain't going to happen. Maybe a bin if they brought a bin up. But guys, whatever you think about our new bucket, give us a comment. Like, share. We always want to hear from you guys. Subscribe. We definitely need subscribers. And thanks everybody for watching. Stay clean, everybody.